Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Dr. Anita Raja and hoping you're all very well. Today we have a very interesting topic of choice. Like every week, today we're going to discuss something that's absolutely vital. Being a Muslim, it is our biggest dream to perform Hajj or Umrah at least once in our lifetime. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we've seen a huge, major disruption when it comes to offering our Umrah pilgrimage or our Hajj pilgrimage. Hence, many of us are absolutely desperate to get their visas sorted and their Hajj or Umrah packages sorted so they can offer their pilgrimage. Now, the question stands, is it safe to go with any package that is good, seems very cheap, and seems cost effective without actually checking whether they're genuine or not? To discuss this and much more, we have invited lovely Anna Bowles on our show today. She is Head of Consumer Enforcement, Civil Aviation Authority. Welcome to our show, Anna.
Hi there, Anita. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. I mean, we're so delighted to have you on our show today because this is such an important topic. And as you know, at the moment, loads of Muslims, 25,000 Muslims a year usually perform Hajj, 100,000 perform Umrah. And of course, now we've got this list of thousands of people who definitely want to go and offer their respect because they're Muslims and they want to perform Umrah or Hajj. Is it safe to go with a good deal?
So as you say, there's this huge pent-up demand at the moment. So traditionally, about 25,000 people a year undertake Hajj and about 100,000 undertake Umrah. And for the last 2 years, they haven't been able to undertake these pilgrimages. So we are expecting to see a huge amount of pent-up demand this year. At the same time, the Ministry of Hajj in Saudi Arabia has indicated they're going to be issuing fewer visas than they would in an average year because of COVID restrictions that are still in place. And so we are concerned that this imbalance of demand with the supply of visas is going to mean that there is the opportunity for scammers to take advantage of people looking to book these trips. And so we want to make sure that people are really doing appropriate research before they make their booking to make sure that they don't get scammed and become victims of fraud.
And are these scammers only online? Are these online pop-up deals that come while you're browsing the internet?
So they're a mixture. So they can be online, absolutely, but they can also just be pop-up shops in your local travel agent. They might be travel agents that you call up. So they could be deals that you find over the phone, adverts that you find in newspapers. Scammers use all different types of media to try and attract their customers to their deals and to then take advantage of people in these vulnerable situations, particularly where they're trying to book these pilgrimages that have such significant meaning and really people really want to go on.
I mean, it's a shame that, people actually are, queuing up. They want to go on a pilgrimage and there's scammers out there. So I'm quite surprised that actually people, shops would do that as well, because you'd think that if you'd go and see someone in person, they wouldn't just scam you and just take your cash, but actually would give you some guarantee. So how can consumers protect themselves from any type of fraud?
So what we've done is drawn up a list of top 5 tips, if you like, to try and help individuals when they're looking to book their pilgrimages, and to try and stop them from becoming a victim of fraud. So the first thing that we say is that you should always check that the organizer that you're booking through is ATOL protected. And so for looking for that, you can look for an ATOL logo, which it might be on the shop front, it might be on the web page, but make sure that you're looking for an ATOL logo, and that's a yellow circular logo. And you can see what that looks like by looking on our website at atol.org. The second thing that we recommend that you do is that you check that that atoll logo represents a real atoll license. So you can go to our website and type in the name of the organisation that you're booking through, and we've got something called a check an atoll function. And you can go to that website and check the name of the organisation just to make sure it's a real atoll logo, because it is quite straightforward for an organisation to just copy a logo off the internet and then post it onto a web page, and it isn't real.
And in terms of being scammed, have you recently seen any such incidents where people have been scammed?
Yes, so we do see incidences of scamming, and I think over the years we're aware that people have lost thousands of pounds in Hajj related fraud. We are also conscious that in the last month or so that there's an organisation that pleaded guilty to selling Hajj pilgrimages without a atoll license. So we do know that there are incidences of this out there, but we also know that quite a lot of this goes unreported. So particularly, I think where there's cash involved, sometimes people don't like to report instances of fraud. So we think that the potential for fraud that's out there could be greater as well.
And should every Hajj and pilgrimage be atoll approved? Is that what it should be?
So we recommend that you book through a Hajj. Okay. You book through an atoll tour operator. It's possible that if you're looking to book through a package deal through an agent, a travel agent, that agent must have an atoll license. Otherwise, it's not legally allowed to sell those packages in the UK. It's possible that you could book with an overseas agent, so they could be offering you the same sort of packages, but be an organisation that's based outside of the UK. But in those circumstances, we recommend that you do your research to make sure that they are real organisations, and that, again, they're not just fake websites. In that case, it's likely to be. So it's worth doing your research and looking into that.
And Anna, if somebody has been scammed, for instance, and they've not gone through all these checks that you have just stated, I mean, what are their rights?
So it can be quite difficult for people to get their money back when they've been victims of fraud. There are certain things that we would recommend that you do. So if you've booked on a credit card, you can contact your credit card company to see if they can support you in getting your money back. We also recommend that you contact Action Fraud, which is the means of contacting the police and letting them know about some fraud that you've experienced. And the other thing we would say is if it's an organisation that's claiming to have an atoll, then we would ask that you contact Atoll, and our contact details are on atoll.org, as I've said, and you can let us know, and we can look into that from an atoll perspective as well. But often in these circumstances, it can be very difficult to recoup your money.
So essentially, if you don't go through this very vital checklist and it being atoll approved, then it certainly is a very big risk. So you're putting thousands of pounds at risk. If someone is giving you a better deal and they're not approved by atoll, then certainly that is a big problem.
Absolutely. And the other thing I would say is, it's worth making sure that everything that should be included in your tour is included, because that's another way that people can be scammed for extra money. So if you're booking these your pilgrimage through a travel agent, make sure that your Hajj visa is included.
Right. And we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this in a minute. It's time for a break. Stay with us. Our telephone number is on your screens. If you have any questions, send them through. It's time for a break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Let's Talk. Before we went on to the break, we were talking about Hajj pilgrimage packages, Umrah pilgrimage packages, and fraud that are involved with this. We've got so many scammers out there who would offer you a much better deal. When we talk about a better deal, it would sound much cheaper and cost effective, yet it's not atoll approved, and hence there is a risk that you might lose your money. To discuss this and much more, Anna Bowles is here with us, Head of Consumer Enforcement, Civil Aviation Authority. Anna, before we went on to the break, you were telling us about what would actually comprise of a good deal and how we could compare it to any other deal. So are there any sort of top tips that you could give us around that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we would say is really key when you're looking to book these trips and you're looking at the cost comparison is to make sure that the trips that you're looking at include all the major costs that you would expect them to include. So the first thing we would say there would be make sure it includes your Hajj visa. You don't want to get to Saudi Arabia and find that you can't undertake your pilgrimage at all. That would be incredibly disappointing. And the other thing is to say, make sure that there aren't any hidden costs that are going to be incurred in addition to the costs of the trip that you're being quoted for. So make sure that your flights includes your baggage costs, for example, and make sure that you've got your full accommodation included in there and the costs of your transfers, for example, because these are all costs that can add up to quite significant additional costs, which could be unexpected and would increase the overall price that you're paying.
No, certainly. We've got a question, and it's an anonymous question from someone, and they've said that what are the key things that you might that might stand out most when someone's trying to scam me?
I suppose some the kind of things that you would normally expect for are worth looking out for. So the hard sell, I suppose, not being able to go away and do your research. I think one of the key things when you're making this sort of outlay for a really important experience that's going to be once in a lifetime for many people, it's worth making sure that you take the time to do the research and don't get pressurized into making a booking without doing that proper research. And so that's where, again, it's worth just looking at the top 5 tips that we've put on our website to make sure that you are considering all of the potential risks and making sure that your tour operator really is ATOP protected. It's worth saying there are a lot of good tour operators out there that will be offering legitimate deals. It's just worth making sure you're doing your research to find those operators.
Yeah, definitely. We've got another question from one of our viewers, and it says that I have a friend that just got scammed and is currently having a nightmare of a time trying to get back home. Do you have any advice on how he could sort this out?
So if they booked through a tour operator, a legitimate tour operator, then it's worth speaking to your tour operator, and they should be able to help with getting home. If they didn't, I guess it's worth checking the travel documentation they've got to make sure that that anything that they do have they're using to enable them to get home.
But and in terms of travel insurance, would they still cover it, you think, if they have been scammed?
It would be. I mean, if you've made it out there, then you must have had a flight to get to your destination. So it's worth checking the flight ticket to see if you can get back again. And it's certainly worth checking the details of your travel insurance. I suspect that some travel insurance will cover it and some won't. So it's worth checking the finer details.
And in terms of, when people are scammed and, their money is taken and it doesn't turn out to be a true package, how good is travel insurance, and what type of travel insurance would you sort of suggest we should be taking if we are going on Hajj and Umrah?
I think I wouldn't be able to give you advice on specific travel insurance to take, but the key thing I would say is just to make sure that you check the fine print and make sure it's covering you for the destination that you're going to and the type of activity that you're planning to do. And
also, in terms of what you are seeing now, Anna, you did say that the Saudi Ministry of Travel is now not issuing as many visas as they were in the past. So how many visas are they actually issuing at the moment?
So I think annually, traditionally, they've issued around 2 million visas a year. And I think this year they're issuing about 1 million visas, and they allocate those between countries. And so the allocation to the UK, I think, is about 50%, slightly less than 50% of what it would be. Would have been pre-COVID. So it is quite a significantly reduced allocation.
And if somebody is telling, a person who really wants to go on Hajj or Umrah that they can definitely get them a visa and they can definitely sort out their travel, I mean, what else should they be looking out for? Because it becomes so difficult. I mean, I live in Birmingham, and we've got a huge South Asian community here. And, you know, as you've mentioned, there's so many corner shops, pop-up shops, lots of websites, and lots of claims that, you know, they can definitely get you to perform your Umrah and Hajj no matter what, even if, you know, they'd probably charge you a little more, but they'd give you that opportunity. What should we definitely be looking for so that we don't get stuck?
I think the key thing there is to make sure that you're booking through an official tour operator who is ATOL protected and has access to the Hajj visas.
Yeah.
So is an official operator. I think if somebody is telling you they can guarantee your visas, and you've got any sort of doubt about that, or if you've got any uncertainty, then it's best to go away and do your research and make sure you're comfortable before making that booking.
Definitely. There's one more question that's come through. Do you have any advice on how I can make it more likely I'll be given a visa? I guess this is a difficult one. So someone is asking how they can wrangle a visa.
I haven't got any advice on that. I suspect that there are many people in the same position who are really, really desperate to go and get one of these visas, and they are going to be tougher to get this year. But I guess the answer is, if you don't get to go this year, then try again next year.
Yes, hopefully next year. And hopefully it's going to be so much better, because, you know, the travel restrictions are getting better. I mean, Saudi Arabia has been very, very strict for a very long time, I guess. But then, you know, if you come to think of it, everyone is very close when they're performing Hajj and Umrah as well. And I mean, certainly there's going to be a high risk of the spread of the virus, COVID-19. So I guess that's the most sensible thing to do. And also, Anna, tell us, you know, it's very interesting that you really wanted to talk to us about this. So how important does Civil Aviation Authority think the awareness around this particular topic is?
So we take consumer rights in general really seriously. We're really keen to make sure that all consumers are aware of their rights. So we're particularly focused on this year, because we're so conscious that the demand is going to be so high, and the number of visas available is fewer, and we're really concerned that means this is an opportunity for scammers, and we really don't want people to become victims of fraud and victims of these scammers. So we're really passionate about making sure that consumers know their rights and that they are protected. So we're really trying our hardest to get the message out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, you know, people will surely get the message today. I mean, I was quite interested in knowing, you did mention that there was this particular group that was selling these Hajj and Umrah pilgrimage packages, and they were scammers, and they actually, you know, they were perhaps fined. But what sort of, you know, how do these people get reprimanded? Is it a big sort of penalty, or is it just a small thing that they can get away with and perhaps be scamming others in another 5-10 years? How does it work?
Well, ultimately, they would be taken to court and prosecuted, and the outcomes of that would be down to the courts. And you know, we would hope that people wouldn't then go away and do this again, because they would receive the outcome of the court. But so that we would be looking to, where we identify this, we work with trading standards to try and make sure that people are prosecuted, and that these people that are undertaking these sorts of scams don't get away with it.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of, you know, you said that there were some travel agents who would be still very reliable on the high streets, selling legit, genuine packages for Hajj, Umrah. And is there any specific website that people can go to check how legitimate they are if they are not ATOL protected?
So if they're not ATOL protected, then they shouldn't be selling these packages.
Okay.
So in order to sell a flight inclusive package in the UK, you have got to have an ATOL license. So if they are saying that they are fine to sell it, but they don't have an ATOL, that's not the case. You must have an ATOL if you're getting your flight and accommodation and your Hajj visa all together. That's a package that should be being sold through an ATOL protected.
That's fantastic. In the end, is there any message you want to give out to our viewers who are watching our show today?
I think the key message that I would say is to make sure that you do your research, make sure that you're cautious before you book. Go to our website, check the organisation that you're booking through is atoll protected. Use our check and atoll function. So our website, I'll say it one more time, is atoll.org, and make sure that you are fully researching your trip before you make your booking.
Thank you so much for being on our show today, Anna. It was a delight. Thank you so much. So, viewers, today we had a very interesting topic of choice, and our topic was Umrah and Hajj scams. Now, as you know, many of us want to perform Umrah and Hajj. It's always a big dream, being a Muslim, to be able to perform Umrah or Hajj at least once in our lifetime. Due to COVID, we've had a massive disruption, and it's been a long time, many, many years. It seems like a lifetime, 3 years at least, since people have not been able to perform Umrah or Hajj. Hence, there is a surge, a huge demand. And this is the right time for scammers to come in, take our money, and scam us. So it's very important that we look for atoll approved packages. We make sure that we're not scammed. And if someone is actually offering you something and telling you that they will take cash in hand or they'll give you a better package, it's very important that you go online and check whether or not they're atoll approved. Now, viewers, just for your information, today was my last show. It was fantastic to be bringing Let's Talk to you every single week with a new topic. I hope all of you stay happy, healthy, and I hope that you have learned a lot from our shows. Khuda Hafiz, look after yourself. It was a pleasure. Allah Hafiz.